afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, What's in Your Food? We're going to learn about reading and understanding food labels. My name is Marissa Frieder, and I'm a program coordinator for our WorkWell NYC team. And before I introduce Elizabeth Solomon, who will be our presenter today, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about WorkWell NYC. So WorkWell NYC is the city's worksite wellness program. We are here to help all city employees live well and work well. We aim to create work sites that make it easier for our employees to live healthy and active lifestyles. And we know health is not just the absence of disease. Health is physical, it's mental, it's financial, it's emotional. And we know it exists on a spectrum. Everyone is at a different place on their health journey in all of those realms. And so we want to be here for you with health and well-being resources, programs, and support no matter where you are. So we have a range of different programs. We have diabetes prevention classes, Weight Watchers, fitness classes, stress management, among many others. And we encourage you to visit our website to learn more. But we've heard from you that there's a lot of interest in learning more about healthy eating. And rightly so, because eating healthy is absolutely essential for a healthy lifestyle. And combined with being active, it can help reduce your risk for many of our chronic conditions that we face in life. And so before I turn it over to Liz to get started in talking about food labels and how we understand what they say, we're going to do a poll. So we want to know, do you read food labels? Be honest. All right, the results are coming in. And as you can see, about half of us read them sometimes. I'll admit I'm in that category. And 39% read them all the time, which is wonderful. Because food labels really give you a ton of information and insight into what's in your food. And so before I turn over to Liz, one last housekeeping, because I was rescheduled from last Wednesday. Our final webinar will be tomorrow. That one is about healthy drinks. And so we hope you will join us then tomorrow, same place, same time. And now I'm going to turn it over to Liz. So Elizabeth Solomon is a registered dietitian. She is the Assistant Director for Healthy Eating at the City Department of Health. And so Liz, take it away.
Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm going to first just talk through the agenda. We're going to start with an overview of the basic strategy for healthy eating, which for those of you who are on the webinar on March 7th, it'll be a quick review. The bulk of the workshop will be devoted to learning about the types of information on the front and back of packaged foods and how we can use it to make healthier choices. We'll have time to put what we learned into practice, and we'll wrap up with a discussion of additional resources you can use to continue learning and answer any questions that you have. So let's get started. After today's workshop, you will know where to find reliable information on food packaging, understand how to verify information on the front of food labels, and be able to use this information on food packaging to make healthy and informed food choices. Before we dive into today's topic, let's review a broad strategy for healthy eating. Choosing whole and minimally processed foods more often than processed foods is one way to eat healthier. Whole foods are foods to which nothing is added and nothing is taken away. They are in their original state. When food is processed, unhealthy fat, sugar, and salt usually get added. All are ingredients that can contribute to your risk of developing a chronic disease. Vitamins, minerals, and fiber, which are all components that contribute to the nutritional value of foods, are usually the ones taken away during processing. You'll see some examples of whole foods: fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, legumes, and eggs. And you can think of all foods as being on a spectrum of whole foods to highly processed foods. And we all eat from the entire spectrum, but choosing to eat mostly whole or minimally processed foods is a strategy you can use to eat healthier. So let's briefly see what that means. Here we're looking at how this concept applies to foods in the fruit, vegetable, protein, and grain groups. And as you can see, in the left-hand first column, the most whole foods from each of these food groups are the healthiest. These include, as I mentioned, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains such as oats or brown rice, vegetable proteins like beans and lentils, and lean cuts of meat. As food becomes more processed, food loses some nutrients or gains some unhealthy components. These minimally processed foods can still be good options and contribute to a healthy diet. Foods in this minimally to somewhat processed category include frozen fruits and vegetables, canned fruits and vegetables, white rice, white pasta, or something like a homemade meatball. When choosing canned fruits and vegetables, there are things you can do to make them healthier, such as buy fruit packed in 100% juice instead of syrup or light or heavy. Buy low or no sodium canned vegetables, and you can rinse your canned vegetables and beans before eating them. When choosing frozen fruits and vegetables, you can read the ingredient list and choose frozen fruits and vegetables that don't contain added ingredients. We'll talk about this a little bit later in this presentation. Foods on the right in the most processed category are things like French fries, sugary cereals, and hot dogs. These are the least healthy for you because they contain a lot of added sugar, salt, or unhealthy fat, and they've been stripped of a lot of nutrients. You should avoid eating too many of these types of foods. One thing to note is the way you cook and prepare your food plays a huge role in how healthful it is. Try cooking your food with little added salt and sugar, and use healthier fats such as vegetable oils instead of lard or butter. Now, we know that in reality, we all include at least some foods that are processed and packaged in our diet. It's impossible to avoid packaged food in this modern world, and they can help us in a healthy diet. So we're going to spend the rest of the time talking about tools to think critically about the information available to you on a packaged food so that you can make healthier choices. Think for a minute about what you look at on food labels, those of you who do use them, and how that helps you make your choices. We all have different reasons for choosing the foods we choose. And when buying packaged foods, you have to somewhat become a detective to sort through all the information that's available. Throughout today's presentation, we'll be examining the most reliable sources of information on food labels. We'll also talk about some of the other sources of information available to you and how you can use it to make your food shopping experience easier. The United States Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, and the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, both share responsibility for food labeling. Everything on a label is true, but as you will see today, not all of it is meaningful. The information on the back of the package is the most reliable, and this includes the ingredient list and the nutrition facts label. The front of package has a whole host of additional information. Some of this is nutrient content claims, health claims, and then there's a variety of seal certifications and graphics. This is what you first see when you're scanning the shelf of a grocery store, and it's often designed to be very eye-catching. We'll talk through some of this information and help you figure out how to sort it and pick out what is useful for you to make a healthy choice. Let's first start with the back of the package. Again, the back of the package gives you the most reliable information on what is inside the food and you're buying. This is in the form, as I said, of the ingredient list and the nutrition facts label. These two sources of information on the back of the package give you specific information on what is in your food. They can be very useful if you want to avoid or limit certain ingredients or nutrients. And they're also very useful when you're comparing two products within the same category. Let's first start with the ingredients list, which tells you a lot about a food. You want your ingredient list to be short, recognizable, and readable. It should basically sound like food. The first ingredient should be a healthy one because ingredients are listed by weight from most to least. So for example, if you're buying 100% whole wheat bread, you want whole wheat flour to be the first ingredient. There also should be no partially hydrogenated oils in your ingredient list. This ingredient is the primary source of artificial trans fats in processed foods. Research has shown that removing partially hydrogenated oils from processed foods can prevent thousands of heart attacks and deaths each year. There's been a decline in partially hydrogenated oils in the food supply since the mid-2000s. And in 2016, the FDA ruled that these partially hydrogenated oils are no longer safe for use in foods, and food companies must stop using these oils in their products. So food companies have up to 3 years to comply with this ruling. That means that they can either reformulate their products or seek permission to use the oils in certain products. Either way, you probably have seen a large drop in the use of partially hydrogenated foods, but for now, it's good to just double check that they're not in your ingredient list. You also want to limit the number of sugars, and as you can see on the screen, there are many, many names for sugar. If any of these words for added sugar are in your ingredient list, that means the sugar has been added in some form. All of these types of sugars, regardless of the color, shape, or name, contain the same amount of calories. So if you want to choose a product that has a little or no added sugar, watch out for these ingredients. So now let's test our knowledge and compare these two ingredient lists. One is for strawberry flavored applesauce and the other is for natural applesauce. Take a minute to think about what you see in these two ingredient lists that would help you make your choice. Then decide for yourself which one you would choose. So, probably not surprisingly, the natural applesauce is the better choice here. Some red flags to help you make that decision and be aware of with the strawberry flavored applesauce are that the list is longer than the other product list. It contains high fructose corn syrup, which is a sweetener. It contains red 40, which is a chemical food coloring probably added to make the product look more like strawberry. And it has natural flavors, which doesn't really tell us much. Natural flavors is a sign that there may be more processed ingredients involved. In contrast, the natural applesauce has a short list of only 3 ingredients, and we know what each of these ingredients is. Ascorbic acid is also known as vitamin C, acts as a preservative. So it's apples, water, and basically vitamin C. Use the strategies we just discussed when reading ingredient lists to make healthier choices. Now we're going to move on to the nutrition facts label. This is the second reliable tool on the back of the package that you can use to help make an informed and healthy choice. When looking at a label, you should always check the serving size first. If the package contains 2 servings, like the one on your screen, you eat the entire package, you'll have to double all the nutrition information listed on the label. Once you've determined the serving size, some general rules of thumb are to choose for foods that have a low percent daily value for saturated fat, cholesterol, and sodium. This will help ensure that the product does not have a lot of unhealthy fat and salt. Trans fat, or the partially hydrogenated oils, don't have a DV, but we will talk about this in a minute. Choose foods that have a high percent daily value for the nutrients listed in blue and outlined in green here, which are fiber and the vitamins and minerals listed at the bottom. Products with more of these nutrients present in the food will generally be the healthier option. And in general, you can think of a daily value as low if it's 5% or less, and you can think of it as high if it is 20% or more. So going back to trans fat, a nutrition facts label may legally state 0 grams of trans fat if the food product contains less than a half of a gram of trans fat per serving. So if a product does have partially hydrogenated oils in the ingredient list, it may still contain small amounts of these trans fats, even if the nutrition facts label says 0. So it's always best to avoid artificial trans fat in your food by looking at the ingredient list. So to sum up, the nutrition facts label and the ingredient list together help to make healthier choices. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about the other type of information on food packaging. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of information on the front of the package, and it can sometimes be overwhelming and difficult to sort through. So let's first talk about the government-regulated information that is reliable and trustworthy. First, we have nutrient content claims, such as reduced sodium, low fat, or no added sugar. These claims are FDA approved and defined to mean something specific. They can help you quickly identify a healthier option on the shelf, such as low sodium canned foods or low fat milk. The government also regulates information that is provided about allergens in food and gluten content of foods. These labeling regulations are particularly helpful for those with food allergies and insensitivities and folks that are trying to avoid certain foods. Since 2006, the FDA regulates labeling on food products containing any of the 8 most common food allergens, which are milk, eggs, fish, shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, and soybeans. This information must be clearly stated on the food label. Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, rye, and some crossbreds of these grains. Gluten must be avoided by people who have a gluten allergy or sensitivity to it, such as those that have celiac disease. Since 2013, the FDA has approved 4 terms for use by companies who verify that their products are gluten-free. And you can see the terms on the screen: gluten-free, free of gluten, no gluten, without gluten. This is especially useful for consumers who need to avoid gluten. Companies may also use symbols on their products if they'd like, along with these approved wordings, but symbols are not regulated or approved for use by the FDA for this purpose. Health claims are another government-regulated source of information that you might see on the front of packaging. The FDA has approved 12 specific evidence-backed health claims that you may see on food packages. The information provided on these health claims may be useful to you, but you should always consider your entire diet and other lifestyle factors as a means of preventing disease. No one food alone will prevent any disease. In addition to considering your entire diet and lifestyle, it's also important to think critically about what else in the food what else is in these foods that bear these health claims. So let's explore that a little now. Here's an example of a health claim. 3 grams of soluble fiber from oatmeal in a diet low in saturated fat and cholesterol may reduce the risk of heart disease. This cereal has 1 gram per serving. So this claim is from this box of instant oatmeal, which has a heart symbol that says heart healthy on it. A claim like this is common on cereal boxes and oatmeal and is often accompanied by the heart symbol. These are all FDA approved claims. But what does this health claim actually tell you about the product? From this, we know that 1 serving of this oatmeal has 1 gram of soluble fiber per serving. We also know that 3 grams of soluble fiber from oatmeal, when consumed with a diet low in saturated fat and cholesterol, may reduce the risk of heart disease. But we don't know anything else about what is in this product. Let's look at the ingredient list to find out more. This is the ingredient list. Take a minute to use your detective skills and see what you can learn. So the positive components of this ingredient list is that the first ingredient is in fact a whole grain. That's good. There are some added vitamins and minerals which aren't harmful for you, but you may not need. Some red flags are that the second ingredient is sugar. It's a long list for an ingredient list, and there are lots of artificial flavors and colors and added salts and oils. So using the guidelines that we reviewed on reading ingredient lists tells you that this product may not be the healthiest choice. Always be sure to read the ingredient list and the nutrition facts label to learn more about what's in your food. Don't rely on health claims alone to give you the complete picture. Now, I mentioned that there are 12 government-related health claims in all. We're now going to look at package claims that are not regulated. Imagine that you're in a grocery store shopping and you see 2 products with these claims on the front of the package. The first is a cereal box that it claims to have 4 simple ingredients. That sounds pretty good. The second is a product called hemp seed protein powder. It's in the snack aisle, and it claims to be an organic superfood. At first sight, these might seem like great choices. While these claims may make us think a product is healthy, these claims alone do not tell us enough about the product to make an informed choice. In the case of the cereal, you don't know enough without looking at the back of the package to read the ingredient list. The ingredients listed on the back of the cereal box are organic whole grain corn, organic dried cane syrup, salt, and organic molasses. So 2 of these 4 ingredients are sweeteners, cane syrup and molasses, and another is salt. So there may be only 4 simple ingredients, but they're not all healthy ones. The term superfood is not defined by the FDA. It generally is used as a marketing tool by food companies to imply that the food is healthy, but it doesn't tell you anything about what is in the food. You have to read the nutrition facts label and the ingredient list to learn more. So these examples show how important it is to verify any front of label claims, but by always reading the ingredient list and nutrition facts label, as they're the most reliable information on the package. You may also see seals and certifications on the front of package, and these often provide information about how the food is produced and where it comes from. These certifications are often value-based, meaning they provide information about the impact of production of that food has on the environment, animal welfare, or worker rights. Most of these seals are not government-related, regulated, or verified. When food companies apply to have the seal placed on their food label by a third-party certifier. One exception is the USDA organic certification, which is verified and certified by the USDA. Food labels with the USDA organic seal have been verified and certified as having been produced using approved organic methods and ingredients. And there are 3 levels of certification for USDA organic. 100% organic, which indicates that all the ingredients and processes used are approved as organic. Organic, which indicates that at least 95% of the ingredients are certified organic. And finally, made with organic green ingredients, which indicates that at least 70% of the product must be made from certified organic ingredients. The remaining ingredients are produced using. The non-government regulated seals provide information where government verification is lacking. Again, these seals are often based on a value outside of the nutritional content of the food. You can choose what other values are most important to you when making your food choices and use this information to inform those choices. Because these seals are not government regulated, the trustworthiness of the seals varies widely, and it's recommended that you research the seal or value you're interested in to determine how trustworthy and rigorous the process is for the food companies to receive the seal. Here are some examples of value-based seals you may find on food products. The first seal is for foods that are verified as not having any ingredients grown with genetically modified organisms. The second in the middle is fair trade certified, which ensures that all producers are paid a fair price for their products. And the third is from the Rainforest Alliance that offers certification to farms, forests, and businesses that meet rigorous environmental and social standards. So let's summarize all that we discussed today about reading and understanding food labels. First, read the ingredients list and nutrition facts labels. Look for short lists of ingredients. Make sure the first ingredient is a helpful one, and look for low sodium sugars, saturated fats, and trans fats. Use your food labels to compare foods within the same category. Don't solely rely on front of package claims. Verify against information on the ingredient list and the nutrition facts label. And then prioritize your values and research third-party certifiers. Before we do this, put this into practice, let's do another poll to see how well you've been paying attention. Marissa?
Yeah, the poll is up on everyone's screen, and the question is, which of these claims is not regulated by the government? Organic, superfood, reduced sodium, or gluten-free? So I'm going to give everyone a minute just for the answers to come on in. And it looks like the majority of you are paying very good attention because I see about 92% chose superfood, which is the correct answer. As Liz mentioned, superfood is not a claim that is regulated by the government. It is a claim that is used by food companies for marketing purposes. So turn it over back to you, Liz.
Thank you. Okay, so let's put what we've learned into practice. Take a minute to look at these two nutrition facts labels. They're both of canned black beans. Which would you choose and why? Option A or option B? As you can see from the completed chart, a half cup serving of both types of beans have the same amount of calories, fiber, and protein. But option A has more than 3 times the amount of sodium as option B. This makes option B the healthier choice. This can would be labeled as low sodium in stores. So based on the comparison of these two nutrition facts labels, option B is the healthier option. I'm going to now talk a little bit about resources. So to support you, in making changes to your diet, here are some resources that are available to you. You can visit the New York City Health Department's website at nyc.gov/health to get more materials and information. If you search for healthy eating, you'll find links to materials including the Healthy Eating and Active Living Guide and a variety of recipes and handouts. If you search for farmers markets, you'll find information about how and where to access local produce. Shopping at farmers markets is a healthy and delicious way to eat more whole fruits and vegetables. Farmers market maps are available on the website and will show you the location of on-site nutrition education workshops and cooking demonstrations that will take place starting in July and go through November. The USDA also has a variety of healthy eating resources available at www.choosemyplate.com, including a plan for daily tips, handouts, and recipes. And finally, you can find other great resources at the WorkWell NYC website for helping to enhance the health of city employees in the workplace and beyond. So let's wrap up by taking a minute to plan for the future. Think about one way you will use the information you gained today on your next food shopping trip. And thank you so much for attending, and I'm going to turn it back to Melissa.
All right, thank you very much, Liz. I know that was a ton of information. I hope it's been helpful to all of you. If anyone has questions, you can type them into the chat box in the upper right corner of your screen, and we have time to answer a couple. And in the meantime, I just want to remind everyone that you'll get a follow-up email with the survey link. We really would love to hear your feedback on our webinars so we can continue to, meet the needs and hear and provide information for what you really want to know. And as with our previous webinars, if you fill out the survey, there's an option to share your contact information, and you'll be able to get your own WorkWell NYC MyPlate, which divides up the food in a healthy way for you. And so those all will be going out at the end of the month. We will also be sharing recordings of all 4 webinars in our series, so keep an eye out for those, and let's see what questions have come in. So Liz, this is an interesting one. Someone said, I just realized the chocolates I have hydrogenated oils. What should I do? Should I throw it out? Should I give it to someone else? What is your nutritionist take on that?
Congratulations for looking, and I'm assuming you looked in the ingredient list and found them. I mean, they're not healthy for you. Even in little amounts, they're not great. Should you throw them out? I'm not gonna. I feel like I can't answer that question, but I think you're better off not eating them or giving them to people that you like or love.
All right. And one more question, Liz. Do you have any tips on where in the supermarket to find the healthiest food options? You know, like when you're in the aisle, there's so many labels. Is there somewhere you should look first?
That's a great question. And actually, I mentioned this in a previous webinar. The recommendation is actually to go on the outside of most supermarkets. They're not always set up the same way, but typically on the outside of your grocery store is your produce section, your meat section, your dairy section, and probably, you know, maybe some bread. And so those are where you're going to find kind of the healthiest foods. Looking for those whole foods that I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation: fruits and vegetables, legumes, eggs, nuts. Those are your best options.
Great. Thank you so much, Liz. And thank you everyone for joining. We hope to see you again tomorrow when we'll be talking about strategies to drink more healthy beverages. And please do take a minute to copy paste the link on your screen into your web browser and give us your feedback on today's webinar. So thank you so much. Have a great day.